Hi everybody, happy Canada Day. This video, however, is for yesterday, the 30th of June. This is my second attempt at trying to put this video together, and I was really torn. I actually made a video for the middle of the night on June 30th, like the wee hours of the morning, but didn't really torn as to whether to post it, so I just didn't. So I'll try to summarize everything that went on. I don't remember where I left off on the 29th, but so Mike kind of he'd had was spiking a fever. He wasn't doing quite as well. Like, he was a little tachypnic, I think. And when I had been at the hospital during the day, when Danny and I were there, the nurse said she had called a number of times to get the blood cultures drawn, and then she would hang the antibiotic. And so then the lady came and did the blood cultures, and so okay, I came back in the evening, and I said to the evening nurse, "So what antibiotic did he get?" And she looked in the system and named this one drug, and I said, "Well, that's not an antibiotic. That's an antifungal that he got before." And she said, "Yeah, it is." And I said, "So do you know where his antibiotic went? Like, whatever happened with that?" And she said, "Well, I don't see one." And I'm like, "Well, it's kind of odd. Like, don't you think that's odd when he is spiking a fever?" And I found a care path for critical care that says when a person is suspected to have, like, sepsis, that antibiotic should be hung within 1 hour of assessment. And that's an AHS care path. So, okay. So she said she would try to get a hold of the nurse practitioner, or the doctor. So she went away, and I was really tired by that time. So it was now after 10, and I'm really tired. So I decided to leave. And I just have to point out that Mike spiked the fever sometime in the wee hours of the morning of the 29th. So this is now the 30th wait a second. This is now the 29th at 10 p.m. So I called the unit back just before 1 a.m. on the 30th, just to see how he's doing, because I do that sometimes once or twice a night. Most of the time, once or twice a night, I call. And so I asked about the antibiotic, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry that you weren't here when I got back, and I didn't want you to think I forgot." And I'm like, "No, it's okay. I understand you're busy." And she so she said that a particular doctor was on, and this is the doctor I had all the struggles with. And she asked the doctor for the antibiotic because I was inquiring about it, and she told me that he said that me, would need to ask the doctor in the morning on rounds about getting an antibiotic. So Mike had been spiking a fever since wee hours of the morning and the day before. So now we're 24 hours-ish with a fever. And, possible sepsis and no antibiotics. So refusing to provide treatment, in my mind, for someone who's critically ill and already compromised, and not providing antibiotics. You can imagine I ended up not sleeping because I was frantically trying to figure out what I could do, who I could call. Is there anyone I can call at this time of night to try, can I somehow get him antibiotics? Like, what have I got to do? He's in hospital and I can't get him antibiotics. Now I'm going to clarify one thing. I don't know how the antibiotics got missed on days. Like, it doesn't appear as though they were ordered, so I'm not sure what happened there. Whether it was an oversight or if there was some other, reason they didn't order them. But before, when he was even the slight hint of a fever, they hit him with antibiotics right away. They gave him vancomycin the first time, and then another time they gave him Pip-Taz. So they're broad spectrum antibiotics to kind of hit what's there. So, Mike's been however long without antibiotics. I get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning from the ECMO specialist, and he says, I think you should come to the hospital. At least I think it was the ECMO specialist. I think you should come to the hospital. He's not doing very well. So I get there just before 4. And I guess he called at about 3. I don't know, 3:15, 3:30. I get to the hospital just before 4, and Mike isn't looking good at all. He's breathing at about 40. His blood pressure had dropped significantly, and they increased the medications a lot to try to bring his blood pressure back up. And I noticed that he had blood running, and they had given him an antibiotic. So I don't know who ordered the antibiotics. I'm going to assume at this point that it was the nurse practitioner, but I'm going to see if I can find out, because my guess is it wasn't that particular doctor. So I think that, there's a problem there, if that's the case. Anyway, so I, watched him, and I was preparing myself to say goodbye to my husband, and was waiting for Danny to come in. I texted him when I left for the hospital, but I didn't really want to call him. Just, I wanted to go and assess what was happening first. And so about 7:45, I think it was, I started falling asleep in the chair. It seemed like he was stabilizing, like as far as stabilizing in the crappy way, like he wasn't, it didn't look like his demise was going to be imminent at that point. Just, and I just so tired. So I figured I might be able to go and have an hour nap or something. And Dan was on his way, so I knew that someone would be there. So I noted to the nurse that that Mike's chest and abdomen didn't look right. I said, he's not the right shape. His belly's kind of bigger, like something, and he's like, his breathing is so irregular. It just seems like I know this man, and this is not what he's like. I said, so I something's not right here. And I left, and Dan came in, and then I was coming back to the hospital, like thinking this was around 10 in the morning. And as I was trying to get a coffee, because I was still so tired, I got a call from the hospital, and I'm like, oh my gosh. he's gone or something. Anyway, the nurse said that he has pneumothorax, and so they're going to put in a chest tube. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense now, like what was going on. All right, so all of this stuff, besides the fever, all of this stuff now makes sense. And okay, so I told Dan I'd meet him, let's go have some lunch while they're doing the chest tube. So we stayed away for that period of time, and we came back, and he was draining. He'd already drained like 800, like right away, pretty much off of the chest tube, and so apparently there was lots of air, as well as blood and fluid. So, yeah. So by the time that I left again, I don't remember what time that was, probably 3:34. He drained more than a liter. So can you imagine having more than a liter in your chest wall? Like, that's a lot. Oh, I should also note that I asked the nurse to document about my inquiry and with the antibiotics, and the physician not wanting to prescribe it. I don't know if she did, but anyway, so that's kind of where we were sitting, and he needed several units of blood because, of course, he was heparinized. They shut the heparin off, so now we have another complication because he's on ECMO. You need to be heparinized, and so they've shut the heparin off so he doesn't bleed, from the chest tube. So they were trying to figure that out last night, and then so when I came back and then left again, we were coming to shift change, and same said doctor that I have had issues with all along is on nights again. So now I'm scared again for Mike's safety. And it's ridiculous. You shouldn't feel that way in Canada. You shouldn't worry that your loved one in hospital may not be getting the best care possible. And it isn't a personality thing. It isn't just that our personalities don't click. I mean, that happens all the time, and that it's not that. And the one nurse, or I'll say medical professional, brought up the fact that this person's culture, it's possible that gender is kind of a cultural issue, especially if there's a powerful, questioning person of opposite gender. It's a possibility, I guess. But anyway, I just, and again, I just feel terrible because I don't want to have these thoughts, and I just with the refusal of assisting with antibiotics, and there could be another reason. Like I don't know. I'm definitely giving the benefit of the doubt, but I'm also going by what I feel in my spidey senses. And then actually, the nurse told Danny that, thank goodness for my spidey senses, because that's what made them inquire about what I had said, and that's how they found the pneumothorax. And it was like putting pressure on everything, as you can imagine, with that much fluid, his heart and everything. So Danny, I was a mess when I found out that this person was going to be on. So because I'm terrified. As soon as that person walked by, I had an anxiety attack, and I don't have anxiety. So this has all been since week 2 of being here, and from being accosted by this individual, threatened with lawsuit if I didn't agree, but I still didn't agree, to him being downgraded in resuscitation. Anyway, so Danny came and stayed till, I don't know, probably 11 o'clock or 10:30 last night, just to kind of try to make sure he's safe. So I haven't been back. I'm headed back. I'm just drinking my tea, and I'm going to head back there to the hospital now. And anyway, that's the update. I love you all, and hope you're all safe. And I'll give you more about what has happened today. Bye.